Madam Clerk, you ready?
Yes.
All right. I'd like to call the meeting to order. This is a regular meeting of the Council of the Township of Montclair and is being broadcast live on TV 34 and is streaming live on Montclair TV 34 YouTube channel. It is available on demand and can and will be rebroadcast. Pledge of Allegiance.
Make this any longer so I can hear the
United States of America, and to the
Can't
republic
hear there.
for which it stands, one nation,
Couldn't hear
under
that.
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just want to go to the minutes of May 19, 2020. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes? I will move them.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We also have a proclamation honoring Lora Urbanelli as she's leaving the Montclair Art Museum for more than 10 years. And I think all of us are aware of her great leadership at the museum. It's a great loss, but I know she's going on to bigger and better things and things that she wants to do with her life, independent of the Montclair Art Museum. So this proclamation recognizes her great efforts and all the events and the great additions to the collection, Native American and non-Native American collections, as well as the diversity of the artists, women, artists of color, and more contemporary pieces that she added to the museum. So I'm going to move this proclamation, and we'll have it presented to Lora at the museum.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All righty. So we're going to go to public comment. But before we start public comment, I'm going to ask Mr. Stafford to address Resolution R20-099. Oh, I'm sorry, you didn't roll call? I'm sorry. I'm screwing up my last meeting. I'm really not. I'm going to get this after 8 years. You think I get this? All right, I'm sorry, roll call. Pardon me. Sorry about that.
That's all right. Sorry about that.
Mayor Jackson?
Yes, him here.
Deputy Mayor McMahon?
Here.
Counselor Baskerville?
Present.
Counselor Hurlock?
Present.
Counselor Russo?
Present.
Counselor Schlager?
Here.
Counselor Spiller?
Present.
Thank you, sir.
You may proceed, Mr. Mayor.
All right. I appreciate that. I'm just going to read the statement. In an effort to minimize exposure to COVID-19 and to maintain social distancing practices, this June 23rd Town Council meeting and further meetings until the pandemic is over will be only available to the public remotely. Comments from the public during this public comment session will also be conducted remotely. Those who wish to participate now during public comment should dial into 425-535-9484. 425-535-9484. Participants will be put in a queue. The administrator will notify callers when it is their turn to speak by saying the last two digits of their phone numbers, which will be displayed on our system. For example, a caller with the phone number 973-444-5555 will hear the administrator say, "Number 55, it is your turn to speak." The caller will then hear the word unmute and will be offered the opportunity to make his or her comments, and we're going to, as usual, limit the comments to 3 minutes. Before we get, though, into the public comments, I'm going to ask Mr. Stafford to address Resolution R20-099.
Thank you, Mayor. That item, number 2 on this evening's agenda, is a resolution that would amend Resolution R20-090 that was passed by this governing body on May 19 of 2020. It approved the participation with the State of New Jersey federal grant program administered by our State Department of Law and Public Safety Division of Criminal Justice, which is a division of the Attorney General's office. By the resolution, the governing body authorized the township's application for a State of New Jersey 2020 Safe and Secure Communities grant in the amount of $60,000. This funding is to be used to offset part of the cost of salaries and benefits of an existing police lieutenant in the Community Services Unit and an existing detective. Those salaries and benefits totaling $307,023.07. And the purpose is to combat an increase in crime in the township. Again, this grant is to be used to offset part of the salaries of the two officers rather than to add personnel. As in years past, in connection with this grant, the required local match in funding, in other words, the township dollars required to be spent, would be satisfied by way of the two existing officers' salaries. There is no cost to the township beyond what it is already paying in the form of the costs of the applicable officers' salaries and benefits. What makes this resolution necessary is that in previous years, the state accepted a resolution stating that the local matching funds were the existing officers' salaries. This year, despite previous assertions to the same by the state, that that format would be acceptable, the state has now requested that the township include the cost of the existing officers' benefits as well on the resolution. And though there continues to be no cost to the township, and the goal is the same, grant funding to offset existing officers' salaries and benefits, the state's recent request requires an amendment to the previously approved resolution, hence this resolution tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Stafford. So, just by further background, we've been getting this $60,000 grant or some amount similar to that since 1993, so for 27 years.
That is my understanding.
Right. And the grant itself, we approved that on May 19th. The
Correct.
actual grant on May 19th. And this is just a ministerial change to the resolution that was done 30 days ago.
Correct, requested by the state.
Right. And so we're, as a result of the resolution on the 19th and the one tonight, we're not increasing spending in the police department,
That is correct.
and we are not increasing staffing in the police department.
That is also correct.
Okay.
Question, please, Mr. Mayor. And so is it correct that even though in the past years we just said salaries, that the benefits were also included in past years, and this year they changed it, and they want that we include the salaries and benefits?
Well, we paid the officers, the existing officers' benefits, of course, but the state did not request that information as part of the resolution.
Okay, so I guess my question is, was there additional monies for benefits in the past, or is there additional monies this year, or is it the same? Because it sounds as though it was the same, and I'm just trying to figure out, in the past years where we said the salaries and we did not say the benefits, where are the benefit monies coming from?
The salaries and the benefits are paid by the township. The $60,000 is an offset grant by the state.
Got that?
So in the past, the township paid, like for all officers and frankly for most employees, salaries and benefits. In the past, the state did not require that the benefits costs be included in the total. Again, it was not the grant application directions for 2020's fiscal year grant application. So we included, like we do every year and like we've done every year, only the salary information, right? Because the salary information exceeds $60,000.
Okay,
So
got that.
it's logical that the salary information is what the state wanted for all of those years. For some reason, this year, upon receipt of our May 19th resolution, right, sealed from the clerk, a certified true copy of the resolution, the state wrote back to our police department and said, look, we're changing it. We're asking municipalities to include cost of benefits as well, hence this resolution.
Okay, but it doesn't change anything in terms of dollars that we're putting out. It's the same. The dollars are the same?
Yes.
Most of these grants, federal grants, state grants, require the municipality to match of some kind.
Right.
Sometimes it's dollar for, but in 99.9% of the cases, the match is existing salaries or existing expenses. So all you're doing is saying, yes, you're going to give me a grant, in this case, for $60,000. I spend $327,000, I think that's the number, on salary and benefits. that's more than $60,000, okay, you qualify, you get the $60,000. So instead of paying the taxpayer paying $327,000,
Right, they deduct
they
the
pay $267,000 because
Right.
the grant offsets it.
Okay.
That's
Now, I
it.
just want to make sure, because, we've all been getting the same emails and questions, so I just
Correct.
want to make sure we're all very clear that it's the same.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, public comment? Mr. Pham, Mr. Stafford.
Thank you, Mayor. Caller with the number ending in 92. It is your turn to comment. 92, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
Hi, my husband and I live over on Park Street. We've been residents now for 2 years, and we own a duplex. And we've been having an issue with regards to parking. We don't have a driveway, and we have tenants that are moving out and new tenants moving in, and we wanted to get day passes. And we spoke with the parking authority. They said that there's a wait list of 18 months, and I asked if we could, because we live here, it's not like we're commuting, if there was a way to reserve certain spots, or for tenants, or we have spots right in front of our house, if we could designate something for our property. And the woman suggested that I come on tonight's call and speak with you guys and see if there was anything that could be possibly done for tenants who don't have a driveway, or for people who own but don't have a driveway in the parking situation.
Truly, I appreciate your call and your situation. However, we have no mechanism whatsoever for reserving parking spots in front of one's house, including for one that has no driveway. What I would suggest is, if you would like to email me, I can certainly, and the reason I say that is because I'm not going to ask you to say your phone number on this broadcast, but if you'd like to email me, I'll certainly put you in contact with our parking utilities superintendent to see if there's a way other than simply putting your name on that very long, lengthy wait list for permits. But again, I unfortunately have no mechanism to grant you license in front of your house. And my email address is tstafford, STAFFORD, at Montclair, NJ.
Say that again.
I beg your pardon.
What was it you said about?
You know what? Candidly, I have your number because we have we have caller ID. So our information technology officer just told me your number, and so we'll have somebody reach out in the morning.
That'd be great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You bet. You bet. Caller with the number ending in 85. You're next for public comment. Number 85, please. Caller ending in the number 85.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you. We can hear you.
Hello? Yes, okay, good. My name is David Hungerford. I live at 10 Crestmont Road, and I want to raise concerns and questions about the incoming 5G electronic technology. I'm very concerned about privacy issues that arise with it, such as, for instance, the possibility of the imposition of a cashless economy. If this were to go into effect, then it would be a constant tracking of an individual, everything that a person, every transaction that a person makes, and good motion tracking, who's who you're in who's in your neighborhood and who's in your vicinity and so forth. So I want to raise this question to the council, recommending that you look into these concerns. I would be willing to provide some supportive information and to look into questions of what local permissions and so forth would apply to it, because what I'm recommending is that until these concerns are answered, that local installation of the 5G infrastructure not be allowed in Montclair.
Thank you. Mr. Karasik?
Sir, I'm the Township Attorney, Ira Karasik, and we have been following the 5G regulations and the laws that have been put in place, as well as opposition from various towns and accommodations that have been made around the country. We, at this moment, do not have a 5G application that's been made. There was some discussion earlier, about a year ago, but nothing's come of it. I'm sure, however, that the issue is going to come up, and the council will be ready to deal with it. We're legally at least prepared. And any assistance or information that you'd like to provide, please. We're welcome. I don't know if you can get on our website. I imagine you can. I'm the Township Attorney, Ira Karasik. You can email me or email the manager, and we'll get in touch with you.
Thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear those remarks.
I'm sorry,
I
could you
couldn't
hear
the previous
anything?
remark too well. Could
What
I make an appointment to speak with a member of the council?
Well, I'm the Township Attorney. What I had said is that we are addressing the issue, and if you would contact the manager or myself, you can get our information via the website. We'll be happy to talk to you further, and if you have information to provide, that would be welcome as well. Did you get that?
No, the transmission is, the sound is blurry, very blurry. Could I make an appointment with someone? Maybe that would be the better way to proceed.
Here's what we'll do, sir. We have your phone number from the caller ID from this virtual meeting's call-in. The Township Attorney, Mr. Karasik, will reach out for you tomorrow to discuss the issue with you further. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, we're not taking in-person meetings, so he will endeavor to speak with you via phone.
That would be fine. Thank you.
Certainly. Thank you for calling. Caller with the number ending in 57. You're next for public comment. Number 57, please.
Yes. Yes. Hello?
We can hear you, sir, but first, before you speak, do us the service, and those folks on the virtual meeting platform, do us the service of muting your listening device other than your phone. Thank you.
Your listening device. Okay. Thank you. All right. Okay. Yes. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, sir.
Okay. Yes. Hi. First of all, I'd just like to give a farewell to Councilor Baskerville. Thank you for inserting yourself into our issues here in town. I want to say, has it been 8 years? Almost 12 years?
12.
Well, something to that effect. And also want to say thank you to Mayor Jackson. Thank you for your service. And personally, I've learned a great from both of your different leadership styles. So thank you. And also like to welcome the Mayor-elect Sean Spiller also.
Thank you.
Can you guys hear me? I feel like I can't.
We
know
hear
if I'm
you.
being heard.
We hear you just fine, sir.
Oh, okay, all right. A few weeks ago, me and a new organization, we put together a peaceful protest. And during that protest, we had some requests. I would like to send a request into the township. We would like to, for the township to either yay or nay as a proposal. And I guess you all know the familiar ones. The body cameras, a civilian review board. But one thing I want to interject into that, I think that we should also ask, if our police officers at any traffic stop, when we're changing paperwork, they simply pass a business card that has their badge number, first name, and rank on it. I'm also not hearing in this police reform, I'm not hearing about our health and wellness of our police officers. Simply, I think it goes a long way. I think there should be separate outlet while police officers have an opportunity to decompress. Hypothetically, say they just came off 4 or 5 different hostile situations. At some point, that temperament is going to change. So I'm hoping that's one thing that we can also add into this discussion, which I get into a big, long, drawn-out list. The goal is to call here to give respect to those who are leaving, and to give respect to those who are coming, and also to try to find a way to push through these 9 bullet points around police reform here in Montclair. I don't want to be left out of that conversation. I think part of the problem is some residents, we get pushed out of that conversation, although we are implored to get involved. And some of us, we stay involved, we stay involved, and we have to fight to stay involved. So I just want to, once again, insert myself into this conversation. I need to be a part of it moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Caller with the number ending in 15. It is your time for public comment. Please state your name and feel free to comment.
It's 2 number 15, so 8015.
My apologies. 0815. It's your turn to comment. Please state your name and make your comment.
Hi, Lily. Asked about the state program through which the funding safe and these grant programs. A little bit of dating.
Ma'am, I'm going to ask you to pause.
Program that started.
Ma'am, we'll ask you to pause. We're going to disconnect. Please call us back. We're having transmission problems with your call. We'll put you back on at the end of the queue when you redial, okay? Caller with the number ending in 14. It is your turn to comment. Please state your name and make your comments.
Good evening. This is William Scott. I would just like, I've got a couple of things I'd like to say. First, I would like to welcome the newly elected council members that will be coming on in July 1. And I also would like to thank the mayor and Mr. McMahon for their service to the township of Montclair for the last 8 years. It has been an interesting and enjoyable times that we've been able to work together, and I just want to thank you for your support. Also, I absolutely have to reach out and say thank you to Councilwoman Baskerville, who has served our community 12 years as the 4th Ward Council representative. I know that we're still in the midst of some litigation as to the possible outcome of the final vote for the mayor's position. So I'm still remaining optimistic and hopeful and prayerful that that result will turn out accordingly. But I just want to thank Councilwoman Baskerville for all the years of representation for the 4th Ward and also for the Township of Montclair. And we'll look forward to working with her. And again, I just appreciate all the work you've done, Councilwoman Baskerville.
Thank you.
And God bless you. I do have a question for our Township Attorney, Mr. Korozak. Could you give the residents a possible update on the litigation status for the rent control ordinance?
Yes, I can, Mr. Scott. There was a hearing, now I guess it seems like it's been a while already. I believe it was at the beginning of the month, a hearing on the application of the plaintiffs for a permanent injunction, or at least an injunction to last through the entire case until the litigation is over. And that application was filed, papers were all filed, but the judge has neither set a hearing date nor decided it. So we are sort of in limbo right now. Once that, I had told you, if you recall, the last time that we were prepared to appeal an adverse ruling, but the judge hasn't ruled. So we're waiting for a ruling from the court. As soon as we get one, we will address it accordingly. At the moment, the injunction, the temporary injunction, is still in place, and the rent control ordinance is frozen. It has not taken effect yet. Do you have any,
Okay, and okay. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Caller with the number ending in 70. It is your turn to comment. Please state your name and make your public comment. Number 70, please.
Good job.
Caller number 1015. It's now your turn to comment. Please state your name and make your comment. Number 1015.
Hi, this is Tony Martin. Oh, and I'm sorry to see a lot of you go. I really am. And we came to you, the tenants organization of Montclair, more than a year ago. And we came to you over and over again. And you listened to us. A previous caller talked about community members who stick to the business of being citizens, and we did that, and you did that as public officials. You heard us, you acted, you gave us rent control. I'm happy that the next council will be populated by people who know how important keeping the diversity of this town is by maintaining our rent control ordinance that you adopted. I am, like Mr. Scott, concerned about the challenge by this group of mostly out-of-town people and financed by some of our biggest, most prominent developers to try and overturn your decision to give us that rent control ordinance. I too have a question for Mr. Grasek. Can you tell me, there is a public petition to overturn the action of the council that's being circulated online. Has the clock begun on that as an official challenge?
The answer is that's what the judge is going to rule on. However, as of right now, with the injunction in place, the clock has not begun. This is...
All right.
Okay, so we've asked the clock not only to be done, but to be run out. That's what our papers are requesting, and that's the case we're putting forward. If the judge does not agree with that, we will take action to appeal. In the worst case scenario, this will be on the ballot in November, presumably. Worst case being that a referendum is accomplished either by referendum or by initiative. And if that's the case, then you'll have work to do. And so will we.
We always have work to do. And so do you. Okay. Good evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you. Caller with the number ending in 0815. It is your turn again to comment. Please state your name and make your comment. 0815.
Hi, this is Billy again. I wanted to bring up about the program at Montclair.
I'm very sorry to be I'm very sorry to have to tell you this, but your connection is just not good. We're not hearing even every other word, so I apologize. We're going to move on to other callers, and if you'd like to dial in again, we will put you right back on that queue. But something tells me that you're in an area with a bad cell, or if you're calling from a landline, there's a problem with your line. If you do call back in, we will put you right back in the queue. Caller with the number ending in 90. It is your turn to make a comment. Number 90, please state your name and make your comment.
This is Reverend Elizabeth Campbell, pastor of the Rising Mount Zion Baptist Church. I was born in Montclair and have been was away for a while, but I consider myself a long-time resident. First of all, I am in agreement with the remarks that our brother Scott made with respect to the mayor and those who are leaving office. We thank you very much for your service and for the incumbents. We thank you that you will be steadfast and true to whatever is necessary in making Montclair best that we could be. You know, I have mixed emotions right now with respect to our dear Dr. Baskerville. She's been a steadfast, concerned, devoted, loyal worker for years, even before she became a council person. She's been a council person for 12 years, and we've been able to learn a lot through her as she's called on a number of people in our community or service to assist in many different ways, and she's still doing that. So I have mixed emotions that she will be leaving the council as a council person. But I thank God for what she has done in the past, and I thank God for what she's still doing. And, you know, with respect to the vote, I've been in the struggle for years, and we have pushed for voting rights. I can remember when there were many of us who weren't able to vote. And I believe that Dr. Baskerville, if there's one vote that wasn't counted, she would be there pushing for that count. So please, I implore you to push for the vote to be counted, every vote to be counted. That's so very important. There are so many cities and states that are trying to suppress the vote. Let us not be a part of that effort. So let us make every vote count. Thank you, Dr. Baskerville. Appreciate you. God continue to strengthen you, and I know that you will continue to be a warrior, whatever it is that you are going to be doing.
Thank you
so
very much, Pastor. God bless you as well.
Thank you, Pastor. Caller with the number 5199. It is your turn to speak. Please state your name and make your public comment. 5199, please.
Sorry. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, in fact, I hear an echo because I'm also watching you guys on the YouTube live stream.
It would really do
So
us
my
a
name is
service if you
Celia
would put the YouTube on mute while you talk.
Okay, I did it. I put it on mute. So I'm calling concerning the Black Lives Matter movement. A bunch of us in the movement are concerned about the resolution that's actually on the agenda for tonight's council meeting, proposing a project that would direct almost $400,000 to the police department. Other activists want you to consider to request public discussion of this item, and as council people to consider allocating those funds to other public services within the Montclair Township.
One more time.
Certainly. I'd be happy to, Mayor. The fact is that the resolution, item number 2, is one that would amend a resolution that was authorized and passed by this governing body in May of 2020, and it approves participation with a grant funding program emanating from our State Attorney General's Office, the Department of Law and Public Safety, Division of Criminal Justice. And more particularly, it secures for the township $60,000 in funding, which is to be used exclusively to offset part of the costs of the salaries and benefits of existing officers, particularly an existing police lieutenant and an existing detective in the Bureau, who both develop methods stridently to prevent crime. Again, the grant is used exclusively to offset part of the salaries and benefits costs of these two officers, and not, specifically not to add personnel. The required matching funding is the township's paying of salaries and benefits for these officers that already otherwise exist. There's no cost to the township beyond what it is already paying in the form of the costs of the already existing officers' salaries and benefits. And even more particularly, this is an administrative, ministerial resolution requested by the state of New Jersey. For decades, the state has requested that the resolution reference the cost of the officers, the existing officers' salaries. The township followed suit this year. The state, after receiving the certified true copy of the resolution in I'm assuming late May, contacted the township and asked that we amend, for whatever reason they have, to include the costs of the benefits of the existing officers, and that's what this resolution does.
Thank you.
All right, I understand. I just hope that going forward, Montclair Township starts to prioritize other parts of the government that need assistance as well. But I thank you for your time.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Caller with the number 0699. It is your turn to comment. Please state your name and feel free to comment. 0699, please. Mayor, that's the end of the queue.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. We have some items for a consent agenda. Items 1 through 7. Does anyone have any reason to pull any of those items from the consent agenda? Dr. Basile, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. Mayor Jackson, I'd like to have 2, 3, 4, 6, and 7 removed. I just have some questions or remarks individually, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, 2. So which ones you want in?
Well, yeah, they're quick questions.
Okay, you want a 1?
1 in, and 5, 8, and 9.
Or in? Okay.
8 and 9 are consent items.
Oh, okay,
Well,
so,
and 9 is-
yeah,
yeah,
that is a good
yeah.
question. 1 and 5.
1 and 5.
Yes, thank
All
you.
right, so we'll just do them independently then. Thanks. Number 1 is the resolution authorizing the tax collector to process third quarter estimated tax bills due August 1st, 2020. I so move. Discussion? I guess we could do a roll call.
Counselor Baskerville?
Yes.
Counselor Hurlock?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McMahon?
Yes.
Counselor Russo?
Yes.
Counselor Schlager?
Yes.
Counselor Spiller?
Yes.
Mayor Jackson?
Yes. Item 2 is a resolution amending Resolution 20-090, approving the participation of the State of New Jersey Federal Grant Program administered by the Division of Criminal Justice, Department of Law and Public Safety. I so move.
Second.
Discussion?
Yes, please, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, can I get a question answered?
Yes, you can
Mayor?
after Dr. Baskerville.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
you.
I have a question regarding, and I don't know if this can be answered here, but as I recall from previous years, I thought that at least one of the positions that we're talking here is in some way connected with the community policing. And the reason I'm asking is because, as you all remember here, we had a lot of input from community meetings where the residents were asking us to get back to community policing. And so I don't know if we can answer that question tonight. If we can't, I'm fine with it. But I think that might further help people to understand that we had discussions about these things, and, we went through a lot of different, we listened to them, and eventually, I believe that we have an active and outstanding community policing department that is back out there, and that was, directly a result of what we heard from the community meetings.
Your question is right on, and the answer is absolutely yes. The police lieutenant that I've been referring to and the detective in the Bureau,
Right.
Both, well, frankly, the lieutenant is the Community Services
Correct.
Unit Bureau Commander.
That's right.
And the detective does an enormous amount of work with the Community Services Unit as well. So both have an enormous impact on the Community Services Unit.
Thank you, Mr. Manager, and I appreciate that, because I understand where the questions are going, and I certainly, have concerns that they do, but we're not talking, heavy metal and people, throwing down in the streets and doing things like that, but we are specifically, with those positions, talking about listening to the residents after having community input and coming up with a community service department that I think is exemplary.
Almost.
Okay, I'm getting closer, okay. All right, thank you.
Any other comments on this one?
Yes, Mayor.
Yes,
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Russo.
Councilor Baskerville just asked the question I was going to ask, but I'd like to just get this reiterated again. This money we've been getting for many, many years goes towards community policing, and it's actually just a formality tonight because it was passed May 19th already. We've already done this, but it's just a formality for a technicality the state is requiring. Am I correct? It's a technical change to reapply, and we're getting the money for community policing, not additional staff, existing staff, right?
There is no additional staff whatsoever contemplated by this resolution. And as I said moments ago, to answer the councilor's question, the police lieutenant to whom I've been referring is the Community Services Unit Bureau Commander, and the detective in the Bureau does a sizable amount of work with the Community Services Unit as well. So I'm not sure what else I can say in that regard.
I do have a
Well, that clears up my question. That clears up my question. Thank you.
Thank you. I do have a comment on it too. I mean, I personally, I wouldn't care if it was for community policing or patrol or for, I mean, it's support of our Montclair Police Department. And while I certainly appreciate and have spoken about the atrocity that occurred in Minneapolis, I think you have to be very careful when we take something that happens on someplace else or on a national level and then automatically attribute those characteristics to our own police department, for whom we know personally. In many cases, we know most of the officers personally, and I believe that they are outstanding individuals and trying to do the best job that they can possibly do in these impossible situations. And so for me, it's $60,000 to support the police department, and I think some of the pushback, if you will, that some of us receive is really geared toward issues that thank God we don't really have here. I would encourage anybody to go to the Essex County Prosecutor's Office, Attorney General Graywall, to the U.S. Attorney's Office, and investigate and find out how many allegations of excessive force, police brutality, anything along those lines associated with the Montclair Police Department. And if you want to save time, I'll tell you the answer is 0. So our police department is doing an outstanding job. In fact, they probably should be teaching some other departments. And again, we're not perfect, But for some of the issues that have been raised, I have to say that our record is a good one. But at the same time, I want to say too that like folks like Mr. Dickinson and some others who have raised some issues, I understand where they're coming from and appreciate it. But I think it's we have problems. We have people. We give food away, and we don't have enough food to give away to folks who are hungry in our township. We have other issues with homelessness and things like that. We have some problems. So while I think we should address attention to this, we have some real problems that if we have the energy and the time to spend, I think we can make a difference, a difference in lives of people where the problems aren't. I mean, we're solving, and essentially we're trying to solve a problem that I'm not sure we have as a township. We have it as a nation, we have it in some parts of our state for sure, but thank God, I mean, we haven't had it, and under leadership of Chief Conforti and Deputy Chief Young, I think the culture and the attitude of the department is exemplary. And I don't want to see our officers getting swept with the same brush as some other people have, and rightfully so, who have done some atrocities. So I just want to say for the record that I think that $60,000 to support our police department, I could care less if it's community police or anything else. It's $60,000 to support what I believe to be an outstanding police department.
Well said, Mr. Mayor. I couldn't agree more.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Dr. Rathbone?
And I'd just like to offer one more comment, and I agree with what you said, but I think the reason it's so important for me to let it be known that it is for community policing is because so many people have been asking for a community meeting. And so for the years that I've been in service, people know that if you ask me for a community meeting, I'll be more than happy to have a community meeting for you, and it is important to me that you understand what is going on. So my main purpose of letting them be known is because I am going to vote in favor of this evening, and I want people to know that I have hosted many community meetings and listened to the community, and as a result, but I certainly
And I didn't mean
have found
to
that.
at all to
No, but I
suggest-
just wanted to let you know that was my
I
purpose
understand.
for that, because the residents came out in droves and told us that this is what they wanted.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Certainly thank you as well, Mayor and Councilwoman, for your comments, everyone. I think, certainly it's understandable, as you noted, Mayor, the just emotion around this issue is so high for valid reasons for centuries.
Yeah.
Centuries of really abuse that's happened. And when we talk about institutions, I understand why people are rightfully suspicious of institutions that have traditionally acted in certain ways. But I also think it's important. I know a lot of us were on a Zoom meeting today. We appreciate so many community members bringing others together to have the conversation. But I certainly agree. I think, as the mayor said, when we engage in those conversations, we should let the information, we should let the record, we should let all the pieces, tell a story, look at that, and see what changes need to be made. Things always need to be looked at, as you noted, Mayor. Things always need to be assessed. But I do think we have to be careful of knowing, at least in our minds, what we think the conclusion needs to be, and facts, be damned. So it's important for us to look at all of it, to understand that we are not other places. We absolutely have things to work on, but we're only going to do that when we come together as a community to figure it out. And I think we do ourselves a great disrespect if we think we are just the same as everywhere else, because for many years we have been working hard to make sure that we are not. We are not perfect, but we are certainly not in the place that many others are. So I think that's important to remember as well.
Thank you,
Mr. Mayor.
Well said. Thank you. Any other comments? Roll call?
Counselor Baskerville?
Yes.
Counselor Hurlock?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McMahon?
Yes.
Counselor Russo?
Yes.
Counselor Schlager?
Yes.
Counselor Spiller?
Yes.
Mayor Jackson?
Yes. Item 3 is a resolution authorizing a professional service agreement with Neglia Engineering Associates for municipal engineering services, and I so move.
Second.
Discussion?
Just a reminder on that one, Manager, that as raised a few times, just for next year, if we could break it out by the category we use most in the bids, because they're just so hard to figure out with all the different price ranges. So thank you.
Understood. That's been relayed.
Great, thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I ask that we take this one out because, as I expressed before, I'm not one that, agrees with this being exemplary service that we've gotten from the Neglia team, and I'm still, really pretty much on the fence about having, a group that is contracted to assist us versus having, one individual person. And I think that tonight, when I'm looking at this resolution for an engineer company, a service, a group of people that, came to us and they can do a lot of things, it's still clear that there are other two resolutions this evening that require other resources for other engineering groups as well. So I'm still hoping that, whatever it is going forward, that it's going to be very user-friendly for both the council and the community in terms of getting assistance, and maybe take a look at why it is that we need to continue to have, so many different engineering groups versus having, even when you have other engineering groups, if you have one person that you can go to that's in-house to sort of follow up with all of it and help you answer your questions, maybe pertaining to all of the outsourced groups, might be helpful. So I just wanted to pull that out because I'm not really sold. Although, I've not had a negative per se encounter with them. In fact, I held some community meetings and they did show up, and as long as we have the right representative at the right meeting, we tend to get our questions answered. And I know we were going to work on trying to make sure that we have the right people at the right meeting so that we don't have to postpone discussions till, another person can come in. But that's why I asked, please, to have it pulled, because I'm still thinking about that. Thank you.
I would, if you don't mind, just state that I'm stereo. Councilor Hork and the mayor and myself have spent a lot of time with Norberto from Neglia Engineering, and he's done a great job. So, and again, that's one individual, and there are other people involved, but I'm a big fan of Neglia.
And I would think, just like we need attorneys, we have other attorneys that we use that have specific areas of expertise. It would perhaps pertain to this as well?
Without question.
For the other two engineering firms?
Right. I mean, for example, Gannett Fleming is doing environmental work, which is a specialty.
Right.
And Suburban works with the water utility,
Right.
and it's a highly specialized area, which they're in terms of laying water pipe and dealing with the water pumps, et cetera.
Right. Okay.
Okay, roll call?
Counselor Baskerville?
No.
Counselor Hurlock?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McMahon?
Yes.
Counselor Russo?
Yes.
Counselor Schlager?
Yes.
Counselor Spiller?
Yes.
Mayor Jackson?
Yes. Item 4 is a resolution authorizing grant application submission and execution of a grant contract with the New Jersey Department of Transportation for the South Park Street and Church Street Improvement Project, and I so move.
Second.
Discussion?
Yes, please. I read through this and I believe that I know, well, I want to make sure that I know. So can you please describe specifically what this is that they'll be doing?
Mr. Stafford?
Yes, sir. This is an authorization for the township's application for and execution of a New Jersey Department of Transportation municipal aid grant for improvements to South Park Street from the Crescent to Bloomfield Avenue and to Church Street from Trinity Place to Bloomfield Avenue. And the project would include Belgian block curbing, sidewalks, cobblestone pavers, paving, and striping. The total estimated cost for this project is $679,156.37.
Is this in addition to what we discussed and voted on at the fountain area?
Yes.
Yes.
So this is something else?
Yes.
Okay. And we talked about that and voted on doing these things at this time? Or was it because there were some resources that came up? How did we get this here?
This is the township's fiscal year 2020 NJDOT project application. So it's completely different than the Valley and Church Fountain.
Right, but I'm just trying to say, so who met and decided that this is where the NJDOT funds would go versus having them go somewhere else like South End Business District or something? And so once it went to the Finance Committee, did it come back to the full body and we voted on this already?
Have you voted on this?
I'm asking, it's a question, because normally if we have subgroup meetings, then it will come back to the entire body for a vote, and so I'm just
That's why it's on the
saying.
agenda.
Okay, so this is the first time that some of us are,
No.
okay,
Last meeting was the first time.
okay. And so that's the only discussion, there's been no visuals or pictures and stuff like that? I see here, we can go get one if you can get upstairs and whatever, but.
No, I don't have any different.
Okay, all right. And how did we decide that that would be the best place to put the resources at this time versus some of the other areas that look like they might be in worse condition?
Recommendation was made by the department and the professionals to the Finance Committee, who advanced it to this governing body, and it was put on the agenda last meeting, which brings us to tonight.
Also, too, for most of the projects that would qualify for this grant are in that area around Hillside School, between Bloomfield and through Church and South Park. If you remember, we did Union, Gates, Hillside, all those improvements. For whatever reason, this grant criteria kind of focuses right there.
Mm-hmm.
And so we take advantage of it to do some improvements that we don't have to use township money to do.
Okay, no, and I respect that we're doing it. I think it's important, especially as different people come in and come and go and whatever, that they understand the process for getting things done and for advocating for works in other areas. And so if it is a process like the NJDOT funds that we're going to apply for can be used for something in several different areas, it's just good for them to know that they should know what are those areas, and there should be some discussion so that all of the officials that need to have input will be able to have input.
Mm-hmm. And it's similar to CDBG
Mm-hmm.
that we use for public improvements. Like for example, Gary's doing a bunch of water and sewer work on
Mm-hmm.
Maple, and because it's where the funds can be applied. So it's a similar kind of thing. Some of the grants have specific parameters, criteria. CDBG being one. This one being another one where the geographic area is pretty much confined. So
Okay.
once we actually get out of this area, it's going to be interesting. I don't know where we go from here with some of this money or the opportunity, because not every place in town qualifies.
Great, thank you.
Roll call?
Counselor Baskerville?
Yes.
Counselor Hurlock?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McMahon?
Yes.
Counselor Russo?
Yes.
Counselor Schlager?
Yes.
Counselor Spiller?
Yes.
Mayor Jackson?
Yes. Item 5 is a resolution accepting maintenance responsibility for a crosswalk to be installed at Elm Street at Lincoln Street. I so move.
Second?
Discussion? Roll call?
Counselor Baskerville?
Yes.
Counselor Hurlock?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McMahon?
Yes.
Counselor Russo?
Yes.
Counselor Schlager?
Yes.
Counselor Spiller?
Yes.
Mayor Jackson?
Yes. Item 6 is a resolution authorizing a professional service agreement with Gannett Fleming. I so move.
Second.
Discussion? Dr. Baskerville?
Yes, please, Mr. Mayor. On here, it does a very good job of explaining the professional services related to the water distribution and treatment systems. I'm looking for the part that talks about the parking and the parking deck.
Gannett Fleming has and will continue to perform, assuming this resolution passes, analysis of the stability of our parking deck structures,
So they're presently doing that.
and have been for quite some time.
Okay, and they're just going to continue to help us in the same area with the decks and even the new decks that are yet to be built? They'll be participating?
Well, I would imagine at some point, certainly.
Okay. Thank you.
Roll call?
Counselor Baskerville?
Yes.
Counselor Hurlock?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McMahon?
Yes.
Counselor Russo?
Yes.
Counselor Schlager?
Yes.
Counselor Spiller?
Yes.
Mayor Jackson?
Yes. Item 7, resolution authorizing a professional service agreement with Suburban Engineering. I so move.
Second? Mr. Mayor?
Questions? Yes.
Yes, well, it's a question. I certainly think that over the years that we've been working with Suburban, I've known them to do outstanding work, and so I'm really excited to see that they'll still be here. Mr. Manager or whoever would like to answer this, does this have anything to do with the concerns and complaints that we've been getting from residents where they have sewage coming into their houses? At this point in time, I know I've been getting them. Anybody else getting emails from people that talk about they have sewage coming up into their houses and they need help?
That was one person.
Oh, I've got about 5 or 6. And so I was just wondering, is this pertaining to that
No.
at all?
No. Although I haven't seen any emails to that effect.
Yeah.
But no, this is not that.
So where they were doing the work, apparently with the liners and stuff, that's the area that I've been getting, that I've gotten 5 correspondence from, that people had some sewage coming into their house. So when I saw this, I was just wondering, and then when it said they would be doing other areas, I'm starting to say, okay, so let them stay far away from South Hampton. But, it didn't see. But I'll forward them if you have not seen them, because I was concerned when I saw that, and I didn't know what happened.
Counselor, if you would send it to my attention, I received one phone call.
Okay.
And I,
Is your thing is on?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
And I had Mr. Bzorny contact that individual directly. So if you give me the names, I'll follow up on them.
Great, thank you very much.
Roll call, please.
Counselor Baskerville?
Yes.
Counselor Hurlock?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McMahon?
Yes.
Counselor Russo?
Yes.
Counselor Schlager?
Yes.
Counselor Spiller?
Yes.
Mayor Jackson?
Yes. Item 8 is a resolution awarding a contract of fire and safety services for apparatus maintenance and repair services for a period of May 27, 2020 through May 26, 2022, with an option to renew for up to 1 year. I so move.
Second?
Discussion? Roll call?
Counselor Baskerville?
Yes.
Counselor Hurlock?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McMahon?
Yes.
Counselor Russo?
Yes.
Counselor Schlager?
Yes.
Counselor Spiller?
Yes.
Mayor Jackson?
Yes. Counselor Slager?
Thank you, Mayor. Whereas invoices against the Township of Montclair in favor of the following persons for the amounts set opposite their respective names have been received, duly audited, and found correct. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the Township of Montclair and the County of Essex that said invoices be, and they are hereby ordered paid, and that checks be drawn by the Finance Department to the order of such persons for the amounts respectively and hereinafter stated on this computer printout attached hereto and made a part hereof. This bill list is dated June 23rd, 2020, for the amount of $5,358,283.46, and I so move.
Discussion? Questions? A roll call?
Counselor Baskerville?
Yes.
Counselor Hurlock?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McMahon?
Yes.
Counselor Russo?
Yes.
Counselor Schlager?
Yes.
Counselor Spiller?
Yes.
Mayor Jackson?
Yes. Comments from staff or council? Mr. Scantlebury?
Yes, I do, Mayor. Since this is the last full meeting of this governing body, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank Deputy Mayor McMahon for his 8 years of service, Councilor Baskerville for her 12 years of service, and you, Mayor, for your 8 years. I want to thank you for your professionalism, the guidance, and the leadership, and Mayor, especially when it comes to the fiscal discipline that you put in place, and it's a roadmap for us to follow in the future. And believe me, I think you've made Dr. Patterson and Mabel Hudson very proud with your tenure.
Wow. Well, for those who don't know that reference, Dr. Patterson was the first African-American principal in the Montclair school system, and he was the principal of Glenfield School, and was maybe, other than my mother, probably the most intimidating person. I shouldn't say it, because actually the other person I referred to, Mrs. Hudson, who was actually the first African-American teacher in the Montclair schools. I had her for 2 years, 5th and 6th grade, and Brian had her for 5th grade.
Wow.
And I take that back. She was much more intimidating than Dr. Patterson. So just a reference there in the good old Glenfield days. Thank you, Brian.
You're very welcome.
Mr. Karasik.
Councilors, it's been a pleasure working with this council through thick and thin. I think we've done an outstanding job. And as a resident, besides being the township attorney, as a 25-year resident, I think this council has done wonderful things for the town and has really been exceptional. So thank you very much to all of you, and I thank you on behalf of my family and myself.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Fan?
Thank you. Working with this council is my pleasure. Good luck to all.
Thank you, Mr. Fan. Madam Clerk, anything?
Thank you.
Mr. Stafford?
Thank you, Mayor. I have a little bit more to say. I am sad again to have to relay that as of this evening, the official reports are that the confirmed number of COVID-19 cases in our township is 422, and that number includes 47 individuals who did not survive the illness. On a different note, in an effort to assist local businesses, the township has put together a comprehensive recovery plan for local businesses, including several measures developed with input from township business leaders, and certainly following guidance on the community safety standpoint from the state, the CDC, and local officials. The business recovery plan includes the following measures. The township will make $150,000 in grant funding available to local small businesses to be used to cover their costs for equipment or other necessaries that are related to expenditures incurred due to the public health emergency caused by COVID-19. The grant cap is $1,000 per business. Requirements in an online application are available on the township website. The township is also offering free the first 15 minutes of parking at meters. The township has waived or will refund, if already paid, the 2020 Sidewalk Cafe permit fee. And additionally, township staff and business leaders are currently analyzing streets to be temporarily closed to create additional outdoor space for restaurant patrons while ensuring accessibility to sidewalks and compliance, of course, with our governor's executive orders. Our health department partnered recently with the Smith Center for Infectious Diseases and Urban Health to provide free COVID-19 tests to Montclair. That was on June 10th. The drive-through testing site was set up at the Montclair High School George Innes parking lot, and the health department reports that 427 tests were administered that day. We owe a great debt of gratitude to the Smith Center, and we thank them for making this testing event possible. Our health officer, Sue Portoez, is working diligently to arrange another test date for the township, and I expect an announcement to come out regarding that second testing date very shortly. Residents are likewise reminded that the County of Essex continues to offer drive-through nasal swab testing at Weequahic Park every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. Testing is provided free of charge to Essex County residents, and no insurance is required. County residents with or without symptoms are encouraged to get tested. Appointments are required, but they're very easy to make. You can visit www.essexcovid.org or call 973-324-9950. Our Department of Recreation and Cultural Affairs staff is working according to strict standards established by the state's Department of Health and with our local health department and our Office of Emergency Management to safely open our township pools. Now, as one might expect, the State Department of Health has many required guidelines and practices. They are a real thicket, but they're necessary. And our health department is working, again, diligently to implement practices that will be new for this season. This is absolutely a work in progress, and they are working to, as quickly as possible, meet all of the regulations for the summer season. Again, we expect to have an announcement regarding opening soon. Once again, I'm going to ask township residents to complete their 2020 census form and to encourage others to do so as well. As of June 11th, the 2020 census self-response rates saw modest gains, with the state at 63.4%, Essex County's rate at 55.7%. Our township came in slightly ahead of those rates with a 67.7% rate. Although we can see some progress in the numbers, we can and we must do better. All are urged to take 10 minutes out of their day to complete the 2020 census. One may respond by phone, by mail, or by online. And for more information or to complete the census form, please visit 2020census.gov. Please make sure our community is counted and also remind your friends, family members, and neighbors to respond. For COVID-19 information updates from the state, please visit the New Jersey COVID-19 Information Hub at covid19.nj.gov. This is a one-stop shop for information relevant to COVID-19. And as I have for the past several weeks, I'd like to point again specifically within the New Jersey COVID-19 Information Hub to the state's jobs and hiring portal found at jobs.covid19.nj.gov. As of this afternoon, 53,249 jobs with 1,016 different companies were posted. One seeking employment can search for jobs by industry, location, and by other filters. General questions about COVID-19 may be posed by calling the state's Comprehensive Information and Referral Service by dialing 211. Medical questions about COVID-19 may be posed by calling the state's information line at 800-962-1253. Again, 800-962-1253. These numbers are staffed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And very importantly, New Jerseyans feeling the emotional and mental toll of COVID-19 can get support from a special helpline. New Jersey Mental Health Cares, our state's behavioral health information and referral service, is offering to help people dealing with anxiety and worry related to COVID-19. New Jerseyans can call 866-202-HELP. Again, that is 866-202-4357 for free confidential support. This line is staffed from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week by live trained specialists. One can visit our township website and its COVID-19 section for updates on township operations during the crisis. If you have not yet signed up for the township's Swift 911 alert system, you are urged to do so now to receive township updates by blast. The sign-up form can be accessed from the township website's homepage, and you can certainly also follow the township's Facebook page, Montclair NJ USA, and the township Twitter feed at montclairnj.gov. Penultimately, I would like to take a moment to reiterate my sincere gratitude to our township public health staff and Department of Community Services personnel, as well as our public safety, information technology, Department of Utilities, Office of Emergency Management, and all other township personnel who have been working around the clock to keep us safe, connected, and informed. I'm grateful for them and for their efforts, and I'm appreciative of their dedication. I continue to be a proud member on their team, and I would certainly echo the previous comments with respect to you, Deputy Mayor, you, Councilor, and certainly you, Mayor. I've had the pleasure of working for the county government. I've had the pleasure of working in 2 other towns in a similar role. I've worked with wonderful elected officials who strove to get things done, and in fact did get things done. However, I've never seen over the past almost 6 years, whether it be the achievement of the AAA bond rating, which is, as we all know, incredible, to the most recently long-term bargaining agreements with our collective bargaining units. It's been my pleasure to work with you. It's been my pleasure to do my best with our staff to put in place your policies and to achieve the goals that you set. And I do appreciate it, as do my family. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Council comments?
Mayor, thank you. First, I will, I'm going to save my thank yous and accolades to my fellow council, mayor, deputy mayor, and councilwoman till next Wednesday, July 1st, at our reorg meeting, where we will also have tokens of thank you to give to you at that time from a grateful community. So, but I would like to ask Manager Stafford just a couple of quick questions. Thank you for the updates on the pools, which was one of my questions. Is there an update on camp and sports programs? And also the animal shelter?
I don't have a date update for either sports programs or summer camp. What I can tell you is as strict as the Department of Health guidance is for pools, the guidance is for summer camps and sports as well. Our recreation department is working collaboratively with the local health officer, with the State Department of Health, as well as our local Office of Emergency Management, and frankly, the County Office of Emergency Management as well, to, as quickly as possible, set up programs that will comply, that will safeguard, that will ensure as best as possible the health and safety of all participants, but that is taking some time, so it is a work in progress. And I can tell you that there have been strategic meetings with respect to repopulating all municipal buildings, first with employees and then at some point with respect to opening to the public. I do not have a date for the opening of the animal shelter. However, that too is something that we are working with the local health officer as well as local OEM, state health, and state, county OEM as well.
Thank you.
Councilor Hurlock?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate that very much. Just a couple of things real quick that I wanted to go over. Thank you, Mr. Stafford, for those. The COVID protocols are so important, and I really hope anyone listening out there follow the protocols, please, because I can't stress enough how important that is. And we get calls all the time, emails, text messages. I was in Edgemont Park and nobody has a mask on. I was over at wherever and nobody's social distancing. So follow the protocols. Otherwise, we're going to be in for a world of hurt in a short period of time. Please. I also want to thank the administration, Mr. Stafford, Mr. Fan, Mr. Scantlebury, Mr. Karatzik, Madam Clerk, for all your help, particularly during these very trying times that we've all experienced. It's been exceptional, and I greatly appreciate it. In addition to COVID and some of the law enforcement officer issues that we've experienced, we're still dealing with potholes, trees, sidewalks, everything. We're still getting those calls. So thank you for your help with that. Also want to echo the comments that my colleagues have mentioned here this evening, particularly the call that many of us were on this afternoon, the forum that was sponsored by the Montclair NAACP as well as Blue Wave. I thought it was a great conversation. It's a beginning. We're going to continue to have those conversations as we go forward. I think it was very important that we have those, and we will continue to work together. And again, Mr. Mayor, I could not have said it better myself, the words that you said this evening. Thank you. That's greatly appreciated as well. We have participated, some of us, in many, almost on a weekly basis now, I think maybe more than a weekly basis, meetings with the business leaders that we were invited to. So thank you again. We were able to work together and assess what their needs were and to work with them and to come up with a comprehensive plan on many different fronts, whether it's parking, grants. I know, Mr. Mayor, you were involved in that as well. Thank you. And we will continue to have those conversations going forward. And then we also have the Finance Committee meetings that we've been having. Many of us in this room have participated in them. I know Deputy Mayor McMahon, obviously Mayor Jackson, Mr. Stafford, Mr. Scantlebury, Mr. Karasik. The work that we were able to do under your leadership, quite frankly, Mr. Mayor, and I'm not going to do my comments either. I'm going to wait for the reorg meeting on July 1st, because you know how emotional I get. But your guidance, particularly on the finance issues, put us in a place that we're able to do all that we're able to do now in a moment of crisis. And for that, you should be commended. And not everyone knows that, not everyone appreciates that. Those of us up here who know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I will, as I said, I will save the balance of my comments for our farewells at our reorganization meeting next Wednesday. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Any other council comments?
Mayor, I'll just quickly thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too echo what my colleagues have said, and likely will save some of my comments for about a week's time. But there's a lot to be said, Mayor, so, there's a little bit that can happen now too, right? So I too want to just say.
Just the good stuff. Just the good stuff. I don't.
That's right. But look, I just want to say, Deputy Mayor McMahon, I want to say it's been a pleasure serving with you for 8 years. It seems like yesterday, we got together to get going on this thing, and it's really been a pleasure to hear your perspective, to serve on so many committees with you, to do such important work. You've always been such an advocate for many issues, our ambulance and ambulance unit and so many other areas. Certainly, I think you're a big part of the reason, as Bill was just noting, as we all were, a successful team, and that really requires everybody. So I just want to say thank you. To Councilwoman Baskerville, sitting beside you for 8 years now, certainly, I think an opportunity for us to get to know each other pretty well, and have a lot of conversations throughout these meetings. I just want to say it's been really just an honor to watch your advocacy and your work ethic, and how much you put forward for this work and for the people of Montclair. So I just want to thank you. It's been an honor to work with you as well.
Thank you.
And certainly, Mr. Mayor, for you, it's been just honestly a learning experience to watch you work. Really just to see how you manage so many different areas, how you bring forward the issues of the community, how you work with a lot of personalities up here to make sure things get done, but make sure we each have a voice. There are many times I think we find ourselves in meetings that we have to be in, but I've often said, when I go home, talk to my wife or anyone else, when I'm in a meeting with you, it's a meeting I'm always learning, and I'm always watching, and always so appreciative of. So, talking to somebody who married us and did so many other things along the way, I can tell you, I can't say it enough, I'm sure I'll say it again, but I am going to miss you. I'm going to miss you. I know we're still going to talk, and we're still going to do our things, but just looking over and not seeing you, I'm going to miss you, and I can't thank you enough on so many levels. Appreciate you so much on so many levels, and we really do have an understanding of what you've really meant to this community. You've done such a phenomenal job as mayor. I think just one of the best. And I say thank you so much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Who's missing? Oh, that's Baskerville?
Yes, thank you. So I would like to first start off by saying whoever is going to be here for the next 4 years, I hope that a decision will be made to hire the manager full-time or go out. I mean, I certainly appreciate your service, Manager Stafford, for the years that you've been here, and I think that that's something that really should be addressed. You've been here, interim for 6 years?
It will be 6 years in October.
Yeah. And so, just moving forward for whoever the people are, I think that, a decision should either be made that you should move up to a full-time position or go out and look around and then, get convinced that certainly he's been doing an amazing job here, as you all have. One thing I'd like to say to the activists that have recently been rejuvenated in the township, and many of whom I've heard from today, and I'm sure you have too, when they were making comments about the policemen and the budget and that type of thing. And so to all of you, I'd like to say that I'm extremely happy that, whatever, that you are now woke, as they say, stay woke. I'm excited about the new energy in town. I'm excited about people taking more interest and paying attention to what's going on here. But in a township like Montclair, I'd just like to suggest that, in addition to sitting around trying to figure out, whatever money is going where and what's going on in the police department, please do such things as looking around and making sure that when we do contracts, they're going to minority-owned and small businesses and female businesses, and that they're going to local people that are locally in our township as much as possible, and professionals locally too, because those things are all a part of community building, and those things in the long run will continue to help us, in addition to the amazing things that this council has done in terms of finance. Everybody mentioned it. I would be remiss if I did not. I call Mayor Jackson just numbers man, the numbers man, crunch. So if I need to think about numbers really quickly, he can do all of that in his head. I was honored and privileged to serve with you on the Finance Committee for a while, and to serve with all of you on some committee. And so I think I served with everyone here on the committee, and you too, Mayor Russo, who's there. And I really appreciated it. I'm going to save some of what I have to say, but I really had the utmost respect for you guys, and I'm going to jump over this really fast because I liked you all as people, and then, the stuff that I felt was a royal screw with the deputy mayor, it kind of put a damper on that, but I still tried to rise above it and view you guys as individuals and the great public servants that you are, and the time that you commit to what you're doing, because I've seen that. And it's interesting because even when I was running for office, people were like, well, what's the difference here and what's the difference there? And I'm saying, well, it's really, not much in terms of if you look at the way we function as a body together, interconnected and working with each other. It's not like, one person can say, well, yeah, I did whatever, I got rent control, because we know that no one person got rent control. And we can't say, well, yeah, I got workforce housing, because the way we work in this Faulkner II form of government, it is really dependent on us working together. And for the most part, I really enjoyed working with you guys, and I've learned some things, and and so it was really a learning opportunity, and it was good, and I certainly respect your dedication and commitment to what you're doing. And so I guess the only other thing that I will say about that is that make sure, for those of you that are coming in, that you give it your all, that you show up. I can't tell you how important showing up and listening to the community is. I believe the 5,250 votes that I was blessed to get was based on the fact that I showed up and I listened. I didn't have, nobody was thinking they were going to get a job if they voted for me, because at the present time I don't even have a job. And so for those of you that are coming in, show up and listen, and make your decisions at the end of the day, but make sure that the residents are empowered and that this continues to be a participatory government, as I think, by and large, for the most part we did. So, I think that's it. I thank you all for, allowing me to work with you in different levels, and opening my eyes to stuff that sometimes maybe I hadn't even thought about, and that's it's a part of a teamwork, and that's what it takes with the Faulkner II form of government. And the last thing that I say is, for all of you that have been reaching out and kind enough to send donations, we are moving forward with a legal hearing on September 11th to ask that the last 1,086 at least votes that were cast be counted. And I want people to understand that this is not a Your Voice Montclair versus Montclair 2020 or Baskerville versus Spiller. None of us have any idea who voted for who in those 1,086 votes. We have no idea. And I know for a fact that both many people on my slate, as well as Henry DeConnick, at least felt at some time that, yes, the vote should be counted, because we both sent out letters to residents stating, hey, if you want your vote to be counted, sign this and get on here. It's for those of you, the many people that have been reaching out and saying, hey, you know, I want my vote counted, I realize it's important, and I'm willing to step up and be a plaintiff. I think that it's what should happen. For those of you that are, you know, not stepping up to do that, I'm a little concerned, because we're very progressive in Montclair, and all of the groups, the Montclair Dems, the Montclair Republicans, the Blue Waves, the NAACP, League of Women Voters, always talk about the importance of the vote, and people talk about folks you know, dying for the vote. You heard earlier today from Pastor Campbell, who was speaking a little bit about that, and we all know that. So for me to say that tonight is really preaching to the choir. And so for those of you, for whatever reason, don't feel that it would be the just and right and democratic thing to do to have those votes counted, that for various reasons during the height of the pandemic caused situations that were extraordinary to happen, then, you know, that's fine too. But for those of you, I just want to let you know that your donations, we're finally able to retain counsel, and so we're just going to see what happens. We don't know what's going to happen, but I do think that it is the democratic way. I think that it's the just way, and I'm pretty sure that if it were any other way here, everybody in the community would be shaking trees and talking about how can you have election and 1,086 plus people were not counted for various reasons. But for those of you that have reached out and sent donations, we're going to have a community dinner to meet with the attorney and move forward. And I was very happy to see that the NAACP and the National League of Women Voters were able to come to some type of an understanding, you know, with the state regarding moving forward, so that the debacle that we had on May 12th does not continue. And it's really important, because I think that the vote by mail thing has a bunch of potential to be the best thing going on, and we've got to look at the areas where things did not work and move forward. And I'd like to thank our governor for stepping up and already addressing some of the things that went wrong, so that when we all vote, or vote now, right, some of those things won't happen. One of the things that I don't know if everyone knows is that people said that there were votes, like 191, that were not counted because they were not stamped in the post office. And so I went to the post office this week, and I was delivering my ballot, and I waited in a long line, went to the window, and I asked the lady, hey, can you stamp my ballot, please, because I want to make sure it's counted. And she said, we don't stamp ballots. If this type of mail, we don't stamp. And so then I was speaking to our clerk, Chris Durkin, who just does an amazing job. He did an amazing job with the May 12th election. He continues to be available if people have questions and concerns, and I asked him about that. And so that's one of the areas that we will still be trying to address. But if you can, you know, try to get a date and time stamped on your ballot, just because at the end, when they are counting them, then that may become very important. But anyway, thank you to our deputy manager. I spoke about the great job our manager is doing, and Montclair sitting up here, you know, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank you for being here. And I think that one of the best things that we did as a group was to have a position and be smart enough to hire you. And certainly you're being available 24/7, you're being from the community, people feeling comfortable reaching out to you with all types of concerns and things. It just makes you an ideal person for the job. And so keep doing what you're doing. Attorney, we go way back. I like your granddaughter more than I like you, but you're okay too. No, I want to thank you very much too for your service, and Mr. Fine, thank you very much for your service, and our, yeah, all of you guys, just thank you very much, and that's it.
Mr. Oh, yeah, Mr. Russo, did you have anything? Bob, did you have anything?
Yeah, my sound is so bad and I echo, I don't think I'm going to say anything else tonight. That's unusual for me. Just thank you to all. I'll talk next week.
So
when
you
we
mean,
swear in.
all these
Thank
years,
you.
all we had to do was echo your mic and we could have been done with this?
Don't encourage him. But, Mr. Mayor, can I ask a business?
Figure that out. Yes.
I'm sorry, I just had a question regarding the pedestrian safety component. So we got correspondence from our planner, and it said that the planning board, and I think you would know the planning board voted to move forward with integrating the pedestrian safety component. And the correspondence I got said that they were suggesting tonight that we talk about. We decided we weren't going to discuss that tonight.
I don't even know.
I don't recall seeing that.
Yeah.
Oh, check your mail. Maybe it just came today.
I didn't see the email.
Okay, all right, so, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, I was excited about that, and yeah, it would have been really nice to have that. That was something that I was really interested in all along. I was happy to see that the planning board is now suggesting that we move forward and integrate a pedestrian safety component in our master plan, and so I'd like to thank the planning board for that. You guys will see it when you go home tonight. You'll say, oh, this is what Baskerville was talking about.
Yeah, I didn't see that one.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going against precedent. I have two things to say. One's very brief, one not so brief. The first is my daughter, my baby, is getting married on Saturday.
Congrats.
So
It seemed like somebody else got married.
as of this time Saturday night, I will have all three kids married. So that's done.
Yeah.
This is done. My life is changing.
Grandpa.
Hopefully for the good. Anyway, I'm usually succinct. Not tonight. This being my last regular council meeting, I thought I'd share a few things. In retrospect, I'm breaking personal precedent as well. I've always considered what I wanted to say. I generally don't write it as a speech. I'm also generally succinct. Not now. I love Montclair. I always have, never aspired to be anywhere else. I have loved serving Montclair these last 8 years. It has been an honor and an honor and a privilege, often a joy, occasionally a sorrow, and sometimes a frustration. I debated internally for quite some time whether to run again or not. It was difficult. My great uncle, who many of you know, as many of you know, was a 3-term commissioner back in the 30s and 40s, and so I had that intra-family competitive thing, you know. But when it came right down to it, I decided 20 years of McMahon's in Montclair was probably enough, and it was time for other voices to be heard. There's one right there. We all know Montclair has a unique, diverse, intelligent, opinionated, and passionate populace. Montclair is also blessed with a workforce that is unrivaled. I would like to mention just a few that I have had the pleasure to work closely with over the years. My list is by no means complete, so don't feel left out if I neglect to mention you. I appreciate all of you. On the financial end of things, I think we are leaving this town, even under the current conditions, in about as good a place as it could be. Our AAA bond rating and $60+ million debt reduction is not to be ignored. That wouldn't have been possible without the council and without our world-class CFO, Padmaja Rao, Armaja, our financial guru, Bob Beneke, John Lora, Ray Carnival, many others. Great work. I can and will take credit for finding our brilliant and driven tax assessor, George Labrizzi.
You did.
He's my second best find. In the public safety sector, I have known John Herman for seemingly an eternity. We are lucky to have him as chief, and I'm honored to call him my friend. We're also lucky to have his deputies, Brian Wild and Rob Duncan. I'm going to miss my interaction with them and so many of the firefighters, many of whom are also friends, and John Thomas, I get you. Police Chief Todd Conforti, just a wonderful human being. You and Deputy Chief Will Young have a tremendous force, as partly evidenced by the relative lack of police problems we're having in these trying times. Lieutenant Stephanie Ignazzo, I didn't always agree with you, but I always respected you and enjoyed the time we spent on various matters. We often locked heads, but she was always great. The Montclair Ambulance Unit is not officially part of the town, but is a leg of the public safety triad, and I'm proud of the way all three in this town work together, along with the continuing support of this council. I thank you all for that. Jason Santarcangelo, many of you don't know, Esquire, is our vacant abandoned homes maven. He has taken that bull by the horns and waged a successful campaign to get them cleaned up and back on the tax rolls. One of many little-known but important cogs in the wheel of government. Mike Reed is also part of that effort. For me, one of the most interesting things was learning about just some of the incredible complexity involved with the infrastructure of the town. We have spent literally hundreds, maybe thousands of hours with Steve Wood, Rob Bianco, and Gary Avzarni. For those who don't know, Steve and Rob, along with our engineers and the community, the community services team are responsible for street paving, curb construction, plowing, garbage removal, recycling, trees, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. From my perspective, the town looks damn good, and they deserve a lot of the credit. Also a nod to Norberto at Neglia Engineering, who has been an active participant. You usually only see Gary's work when a pipe is being laid or the water main breaks. His work is for the most part underground. He is our water and sewer genius. I don't use that term lightly. Every time I talk with Gary, I feel like I'm getting a PhD in water and sewer. Most of us assume there's a pipe, water comes in, and then disappears down the drain. In reality, the complexity is staggering, yet fascinating. Gary isn't limited to the underground, though. We also thrust parking on his plate. Gary quickly garnered expertise in that field as well. Parking was a problem in my great-uncle's day and is a problem today. However, with 3 decks coming online soon, and Gary at the helm, and Manny at his side, I am confident we'll be in better shape soon. As a member of the bar, I have thoroughly enjoyed working with our town attorney, Ira Karasik, as well as Joe Angelo in his various guises as prosecutor, assistant town attorney, and now our municipal court judge. We spent many an hour engaged in discussion of some of the finer points of municipal law, as well as a number of other relevant and irrelevant topics. 2 of the finest men you ever want to meet, and extremely smart and able attorneys. Angelise, also, has been part of the law department, part of the manager's office, and now she's sitting in as clerk. You know, you have been great. Rick. Excellent. Tony, we couldn't have these meetings without you. God bless you. Deputy Manager Brian Scantleberg. You have been my harbor in stormy seas. My confidant, my sounding board since the beginning of the campaign over 8.5 years ago. I thank you for sharing your wisdom and common sense. Stay in your lane is my favorite oft-repeated quote of yours. 5.5 plus years acting manager, Tim Stafford. The late Joe Martin. Led me to George Librizzi, my second best find. He also led me to you, my best find. In my 68 years on the planet, I don't think I've ever encountered, anyone more dedicated, more professional, more level-headed, more sincere, whilst maintaining a world-class sense of humor. This work requires a sense of humor as well as a sense of irony and a sense of responsibility to the town you have been a joy to work with. To my fellow council members, we set a record, I believe. Not only was Robert the first mayor elected 2 terms in a row under the Faulkner Act form of government, but we are the only council to sit 8 years straight. It has been an experience of a lifetime. I thank you all for the good times and the bad, for our agreements and our differences. If I had to hazard a guess, I'd say somewhere on the order of 95% of the time we voted unanimously, so our differences in the end weren't all that great. Mayor Jackson. Robert. When we first met, I asked Cheryl what Cheryl called you, and you said Robert. I knew about Bobby Jackson, but I also knew the gravity about what we were about to undertake, and I thought Robert was apropos.
BB.
BB. So Robert, sitting at your right hand, in the seat last occupied by Roger Terry, has been the honor of my life. By rough calculation, we have been to 30,000 meetings together. You have conducted yourself impeccably through every one. Your wisdom, experience, and financial acumen have been a boon to this town. More than that, you have, if I may, a Buddha-esque quality. Frankly, you're kind of a cipher, as it's hard to detect just what you're thinking, but you're always thinking. When I describe
I
you...
thought your man was fat. I didn't know that. I feel better.
And you're looking better, too. I said, frankly, you're kind of a cipher. It's hard to detect just what you think, but you're always thinking. When I describe you to people, I generally say, he may be the most egalitarian person I know. Everybody is given a sometimes excessively fair shake and sometimes just enough rope when you're in charge. It's been a great 8 years, and I thank you for picking me for the journey.
Thank you, Rich.
Just want to say best of luck to all of you, everybody here, particularly the new council members, Peter Yacobelos is sitting right here, Lori Price Abrams, David Cummings, and new mayor Sean Spiller. It's a much different world from when we entered, and I don't envy you the task ahead, but I trust you'll do great. So God bless all. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich.
Thank you, Rich.
Coming next time.
He'll be here all week. Thanks so much, Rich, and thanks to everybody for the kind words, for not only for me, but also for the entire council. It's really been a pleasure to serve and an honor to serve with everybody. I think the accomplishments of this group are, I think they speak for themselves. It has been a team. Sometimes, one of us might get more attention on a given issue, but I think as Dr. Baskerville alluded to earlier, it has been a team effort for all of us, and we've gotten things done by working together. And I think focusing on the things that local government is supposed to focus on. I mean, people might be interested in what I think about the war or other things like that, but for the most part, they just want to know if it snows that we clean the snow. I mean, that's that's what it comes down to. And if you call, if something happens, the fire department comes. I mean, that's pretty much what they expect of us. And if you do those things properly and well, I think the political ramifications are all good. I had some comments to make about individuals, but Rich actually, I think, summed it up better than I ever could. Working with my colleagues here on the dais and also with our staff, Mr. Stafford and Mrs. Scanterbury and the entire team has really been tremendous. Again, this council, we do get credit sometimes, minimally, for certain things. I'm actually gonna address that in a minute. But anything that we've done has been a result of the wonderful staff that we have, who carry out the policies of the council and make us all look good. I wanted to, and I'm hoping that the new council that comes in gets, and I don't want to sound sour grapes, but I feel this way, some level of a fairer shake than this council did. I think when you think about what this group has been able to accomplish over 8 years, taking us from, and some of this is old news, but it needs to be repeated because it doesn't get the recognition, particularly in the print media, I should say. When you look at, reducing our debt from 223 down to 163 at the end of this year, AA- rating to a AAA rating. When you think about the fact that we have, when we took office, the fund balance for the town was $3.3 million. That's how much money we had in the bank. At the end of 2019, that was $17 million. So it is, quite a difference there. You also may not know that when we also took office, there was $54,000 in our storm recovery fund that we use for emergencies, and now we actually, because of a change in state policy, we're actually able to use that money for some of the COVID efforts. It was $54,000 when we started. We now have over $1 million in that fund, and we're going to be able to get some of that back when we get some of the CARES money back that we'll get from the state of New Jersey. Also, too, way back when, the council had to do an emergency appropriation to pay for the absences, to pay for the employee retirements that happened. We had to actually go to the market and do emergency appropriation for $1 million to pay for that. If you guys remember that, today we have $1.6 million in that reserve to handle those issues. So again, where we were. We've paved almost 70 miles of road, and we only have 83 miles of road in town. So we're getting pretty close. Some of that didn't need to be worked on, but we're at the end of this year. We had, and again, you think about it, we have got 5 major pieces of apparatus in town for our fire department. I would say I think the average age was like 15 years when we took office. One piece was over 20 years old.
Yeah.
And if I remember firefighters saying they were literally afraid to go on fire calls because they weren't sure that they were going to make it from the station to the fire. Today, 4 out of 5 of those apparatus are essentially brand new, and the 5th one is going to be brand new when I hope this council will get the 5th one, and so the oldest piece of equipment we'll have is 3 years old. Again, we've renovated Edgemont, Porter, Gannett car parks, new pathways, benches, etc. Rebuilt Canterbury tennis courts, Rand and Mountainside ball fields, improvements to Watchung Plaza, Park and Crane Park. Replaced a lot of the packers and snowplows and dump trucks and pickup trucks for our DPW. Replaced 2,000 shade trees and made significant improvements in our township's technology infrastructure. This is all things that this group has done, and I'm certainly, I know you all are proud of it, and I'm certainly very, very proud of it. And also too, and there's a couple more things to think about. In 2021, we're going to have incrementally 800 more parking spaces than we had when we started. 800 parking spaces in the downtown that we didn't have before that we're going to have in 2021. We able through the leadership of Mayor-elect Spiller and other folks were able, and Mr. Stafford, we put together a comprehensive business support program for our business community in which I think I saw some comments in the paper about perhaps too little, too late, or whatever it might have been. But the fact of the matter is, I don't know of a town that has a more comprehensive program than we have, right, at Money, which includes $150,000 of cash that's going to be able to help our local businesses to get through this and buy the necessary equipment and PPE that they need to get through. And one of the things that as we talked a bit ago with Brian, I'm a long timer. Many of you are as well. And one of the things that I think we have lost in this community is a certain amount of just social graces. Because in my opinion, even if the program were late, a thank you probably was in order for even being late. And I think that in many cases we have not heard that. We heard the criticism, but when it was done, we didn't hear any of the thank yous. And furthermore, if you think about it, if we were as far behind as was alleged at one point, then we are either managerial geniuses because we put together the program in less than, I think, about 4 days. So we either planned it before and it just implemented when it does, or we were able to pull together a miracle in 4 days. Either way, there's a certain level of, we should be commended for something. And I just think that for nothing else, even if it's late, there was a time in my experience in town when even something good late would have been recognized, and someone would have said, thank you for at least doing that. But again, I guess times change. The other thing too that that again was not mentioned at all and or recognized at all in the print media was through the efforts of Mr. Stafford and others, we were able to have, we have labor agreements in place for all 8 of our bargaining units for 6 to 8 years. So, that has never happened, ever, in this state, ever. And it speaks to the camaraderie, if you will, the collaboration that we have with our unions and with our folks here who work for us, our staff. And it speaks to the fact that we were able to get together and have a fair deal that gives this town stability. That is something that should be celebrated. That is something that should be recognized. But again, it goes, it just isn't. And I have my own theories about reasons, but it just seems that it's a constant thing. And my hope is that really that the new group, I think, is going to do great things. And I hope that the print media gives an opportunity, because quite frankly, you read some of this stuff and it's depressing. Like, why do I live here? There's nothing good. But we all know, because I see it when I walk around town, there are people who are killing themselves to live here. I get complaints from first-time buyers. I can't buy a house in town because they're 10 offers over the price, over the asking price, and we can't, all cash, we can't afford to compete. So people want to live here, so they're either crazy, or certainly uneducated or unsophisticated, or they know what a good thing this place is. So, and I think it's the latter. There really has to be an opportunity. I think if you're going to say that you're going to be the local whatever, and I mean that as an opportunity, as a paper or an outlet that's going to be representative of the township, I think you have to take that role on and say, yeah, you can be critical, but you can also have to celebrate the great things that are going on. I mean, I don't know when we were noted, when we got AAA, that was, I think it was somewhere maybe on the second section in a little paragraph. And that's only 5%. There's only 5% of the towns in New Jersey that haven't. We're the only ones in Essex, by the way. And I just was going back and I thought about, where is this thing?
That's right. That's right.
I went back. This is February 7th, 2013, when the Montclair Times was, in my opinion, the Montclair Times. This says, council reduces debt by $8.2 million. That's the headline. Montclair reduces debt by $8.2 million. Now, since then, we've reduced the debt $60 million, become AA from to AAA, and you would never know that it happened. And that's a disgrace. And it is based on, I don't think anything to do with reality. It's based on some sort of, I don't know what, I don't want to, I don't know, political, whatever it might be. But you think of the things that we have to celebrate, and it's never, and our local print media now decides that it's not worthy to be mentioned. Other foolishness gets mentioned, but not this. How many people know that in the summer of 2020, summer of 2020, USA did a story on 5 places that should be visited in the United States, that should be visited, 5 places that should be visited. This is USA Today, big national paper. Evanston, Gilbert, which is in Arizona, Golden, is a couple of miles from Denver, Austin, it's got Round Rock, which is close to Austin, Bill, and Bellevue, which is 9 miles from Seattle. And the other one was Montclair, New Jersey.
That's right.
And because of our proximity to the city and all the great things, the museum, the Montclair Orchestra, Farmers Market, Facino, Raymond's, Turtle and the Wolf, all these things that listed of why you should come to Montclair, New Jersey. Does anybody know that?
I do.
I mean, that's something that we should be proud of and should be heralded, and not to be put on the back burner because of some other, agenda. And it basically comes down to, in my opinion, good news is no news. That is seems to be the mantra of the media. The second one is, how many people knew that in June of this year, a magazine called Pure Wow, which my trendy New York friends tell me that everybody looks at in the city.
I've never heard of that.
Of course, a country boy that I am, I wasn't really aware of it.
Wow.
But they picked 5 places in the world, not just the United States. This is 5 places in the world to see. Yountville, California was one. wine country. Cancun, Mexico.
Really? Better not sell. Don't sell, y'all, don't sell.
Vancouver, Canada. And London. And if that's 4. And the 5th one was Montclair, New Jersey. How many people in our town
pure wow.
knew or ever heard of that? So again, there's good things going on in this community that should be talked about, that should be heralded, and it's not done. And it's a disservice to the community. It's a disservice to the people who are up here. And if it continues, it'll be a disservice to the new group that comes up. Because again, I'm encouraged. I know they're going to do good things, and if it doesn't get recognized, they're going to do it anyway. But it's really a damn shame that our so-called outlets here that are, in my opinion, if you're going to have that title, part of your job should be promoting the city. And again, not being not being totally biased, because there's one, I think if I can find it, where I don't know if I brought that one with me, but it was regarding the Nishuane well. And the Montclair Times was pretty much was hard on us because of the Nishuane well situation, which is fine. It doesn't have to be everything good, but you're covering some things we don't like. But there's some things, like I said, reduce the debt by $8.2 million. Somebody might say, well, that's not particularly exciting, but it is exciting. It's a good thing, because those of us who knew where we were, to say that number was coming down was incredibly encouraging. So I hope that the outlets will do something. And I'm just going to pick on one more that I just don't understand. I don't know if anybody knows this. We actually had an election in this town. Does anybody know that? We actually had an election, and where is it? Like, where's it talked about? Where is it? The people who won, and some highlighting, because when we won when our group won, and Bill and Dr. Baskerville were on different things, but we all 7 of us won. This was the Thursday after the Tuesday. It was on May 8th. This is the May 8th Montclair Times, and it says Jackson's 5 topped the chart. Mm-hmm. Right? Remember that? And there was an election. I mean, what is the, why not talk about it? There's an election. We only do it every 4 years. We're not one of these towns that have, election every 5 minutes. Every 4 years we have an election. 7 people won. I know there's debate, but, 7 people won. Where is it? It's mind-boggling to me that goes on. So that all said, this has been a great experience. I think we've made a great difference, and I'm just tickled pink that with the new people who are coming in and what I think they're going to do. But I just hope that that the work that they're going to do is going to get its proper due, because it's really shameful that what this group is able to do has gone just basically ignored for reasons that I won't even dignify. But that being said, thank you, everybody. It's been great, and I'm not going to say anything on the first other than good luck to the new folks. That's why I want to get this out of the way tonight, because I don't want to burden everybody with that on the first. But good luck to the new group people and to the staff and everybody else. Thank you, and God bless everybody. Anything else? I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr.
All in
Mayor.
favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Woo.